Hi, I'm Tony, and this is the story of the build of this 31-foot 8-inch Jay Benford designed cruising sailboat. From the lofting of the lines to her emerging from the boat shed to receive her keel, masts and all the other paraphernalia that make up a cruising vessel. Join us on this adventure as we build Tapatya and hopefully set off to test her out as a liveaboard cruising vessel. Hi, well, we're in the boat shed where this week's activity has been occurring, and two pieces to see. On my left is the ballast keel with the keel timber on top of it. On my right, behind me there, is the section that I've been making up, and you'll remember last week I was gluing bits of wood together to make up that section that runs aft of the ballast keel back to under the rudder. And that's progress has been on that front again this week, and the keel is actually getting towards the close, and I have to say I'm very keen to get it finished, but on the other hand what you can't do is cut corners and do it properly. So it's going on. I hope we're within a week or two of having that keel finished now, or getting it to the state of being ready for paint at the very least, but getting it all assembled, glued up properly. Probably, yeah, I'm certain within a week or two of getting it all glued together, assembled into one big piece and ready for some paint, which will be, I'll be very pleased, because then I'll be looking into building masts, and certainly this week or next week I'll be going to the wood yard. I've had a look at their online catalogue again. I've read it millions of times, but exaggeration. I've read it many times. I see they've got some spruce that I'm rather interested in. Would be good for masts. I need to go and have a look at it and see if I think it's a suitable quality for mast building. And if it is, order it up, get it in, and we'll be building the masts in here. So get the keel all assembled over there out the way, make a bit of room in here and start on the masts. And yeah, let's have a look at this week's works. remarkably good. Around the end of. Need to fill it up with oil again, that Jack. So I had a load of comments last week about that very casual comment that I made about trying this salt trick, and you know, it was only meant to be, I say. Well, it was a not thought about comment, really. Anyhow, I'll tell you about it, because it was the result of a couple of comments from the previous week indeed. So I've got to glue these two pieces together, and this technique is actually even better if you're gluing up a stack of pieces, but I'll use it on these two. And I want to get a really good bond here, so I've basically just described my entire epoxy gluing technique. So I've got some just unthickened resin mixed up, and I've got this silly little roller that I don't want or need, so I'm prepared to use it on epoxy, because it will be in the bin after this. I just wet all the wood out. And you can be fairly generous because you want it to soak into the wood. And I shall do both surfaces that are going to go together. And then ideally you want to let that sit for 5-10 minutes and see anywhere where it soaks in, where it dries up, where the grain has absorbed it. And if you, I say, let it sit for 5-10 minutes, you'll see that quite clearly. Because the purpose of wetting this out, you may well know this, but the purpose is just to stop, when you put the actual epoxy glue in there, stop that being absorbed by the wood fibres, by the wood, and not being enough there to get a good bond. So I shall leave that 5 minutes and come back and have another look at it. So here we are some 5 or 10 minutes later, and I can see some places where the grain has soaked up the resin, so I'll just wet that out again. Right, that's very wet. So what's left now, I shall thicken up. And I'll thicken it up with these microfibers, what this supplier calls them. I think other epoxy suppliers have different names for very similar products, but that's what I use, microfibers. Let's thicken it up. It doesn't want to be too thick, in my opinion, at least. Just get a bit of fibre and thicken it a bit, like, what is that, like runny honey, or I'm not very good at thicknesses, but it's still liquid, that's the point. Still liquid. Now spread that over one of the surfaces. I've mixed up too much, so I can be generous. It's always a shame when you mix up too much with epoxy because it's a waste. And the stuff isn't cheap. Okay, now, yeah, if I was now to turn that over and put it on there, which is actually what I did mainly in the past, when I come to clamp it up, the top part, or yeah, the top part in this case, will slide all over the place. It won't stay in position. And what I've done in the past is to clamp it up and then hit it with a mallet to get it into the right position, and that works. That's fine. But somebody suggested that, well, one kind viewer suggested sprinkling a bit of sand on there to stop it gliding around. And somebody came in and commented on that, and you know who you are, and said salt. So that was the salt trick. I just sprinkled a bit of regular, normal table salt here, sort of medium grain salt in there, and it worked really well. When I assembled these pieces, they didn't slide about at all, and the bond seems to be good as far as I can tell. This time I've got some very sharp sand. I sprinkled just a few grains of really sharp sand in there. Too much there, I think. There we go. Black sand, actually from the sandblaster, which doesn't work very well. And then we'll slap that on there. And you can hear the abrasion there, can't you? You can hear it grinding together. Get it in position. Right. And that, look, it doesn't slide about. Well, without that sand, it would slip and slide all over the place. Get some clamps on there. And, you know, piece of cake. Don't even need to hold it. And absolutely no slipping and sliding about, so it's really good actually. I'd say I was happy enough before just hammering it into position, but that makes the job very easy. This is where we are. I'm in the process of epoxy and glass encapsulating this piece, and this is the very bottom of it, so I've built up quite a thickness of biaxial cloth on here now. Obviously needs a trim and a good sand, and then get the sides and the sides particularly sealed, and then get it up and glued into place. It's looking quite good, I think. I'll just roll it over. I now grab the camera, I can show you the shape, and there's the end that's cut to locate into the aft end of the ballast keel. Then I've got various bits of glass on there in my work towards encapsulating it. I will be putting an epoxy fillet along here both sides to give that a radius. There you see the form, and it tapers down towards the aft end, and finally has this angle on the end that matches the bottom of the rudder. We'll put some kind of bronze shoe on there, probably embedded in there, but to carry the aft end of the rudder. Coming on round, just going up there, and that's what she looks like. And then obviously here's the main keel timber. That piece we've just been looking at, glues, will be epoxy joined, and I'll put a couple of bronze bolts through to the aft end there. The ballast keel will be epoxy embedded to the whole thing, and it'll all be one piece. Then just a case of getting a good number of coatings of epoxy primer sealer on it, and that'll be that done. And just before we finish, as I was editing, I noticed noticed how much this dark stain in the wood there stands out, and I'm sure some of you will have been wondering what on earth that is. It's good solid stuff, it's not rot, or it's just a weird dark stain in the wood. I anticipate machining a section of this out and embedding a bronze shoe for the bottom of the rudder in here, so I'm pretty confident that it'll all be gone anyhow. But it's perfectly solid wood, it's just a weird dark stain in it. And there we finish for this week. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much to patrons old and new, and our lovely supporters on PayPal. See you next time. Give us a thumbs up, leave a comment. Bye.